Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Hard Cannon Podcast. I'm your host, Epic Ray of Epic Ray Comedy. We're back once again for another week as we take a deep dive into lore, deep dive into canon to find the truths of the journeys that our favorite characters in cinema, history, and all around, and trying to figure out what is their absolute canon moments. What is the critical point in their lives that take them on the destiny that they know. I am joined by a good friend of mine. He is an actor, singer, and all-around best buddy. Sparky, how you doing?
Hey, it is great to be here for my first ever podcast. Never done this before. Super excited. This is going to be two nerds talking about nerdy things, so you got me with that one.
Oh, absolutely.
And
We're,
yeah,
we're gonna pop that cherry. We're gonna pop in that cherry today, and hopefully, we're gonna have a good long time, especially about the subject we have for today.
mm-hmm.
So the topic we have today is everyone's favorite Jedi, or I should say everyone's favorite Jedi, with the man with the beard, the mustache, and overall just quickly quit words, Master Obi Wan Kenobi.
The negotiator.
That was honestly one of his better nicknames I actually did enjoy.
Yeah. And I liked how throughout the Clone Wars series, they actually played into that and they show us him actually negotiating. Clone Wars expanded so many of these characters, and even though we're talking about Obi-Wan, you could see it with Anakin, you could see it with all of them, to the point where when Revenge of the Sith comes along, you're like, are these the same people?
And with the show, you people had a very critical outlook on the way Hayden Christensen played Anakin in the movies.
Mhm.
But when you actually see it in Clone Wars, you see how he got to this point. Like, he wasn't always this type of person. Like, they see him as just this whiny kid who just feels entitled. But you honestly see, like, with the Clone Wars, he's not whiny or entitled. He is a general. He thinks strategically. He outsmarts his enemy, and most importantly, he's earned everything that we see. His title, his name, pretty much everything that we don't get to see in the movie. And he's a war hero, and we see all of this. And for it to be just not taken seriously, like when the show ultimately came to an end, and I believe it was 2015, I think, when the show ultimately ended.
Yeah, the first ending for it. Yeah.
We get this. We understand more or less now why he was so generally upset with them. Like that moment when he was in the throne, not in the throne, in the Jedi Council chamber. You understand now why he was generally just so upset, because he's risked his life up to that point for 3 years, three and a half years, I think, doing missions, going on missions, doing everything they told him to do. Training a Padawan on top of that. Even though she did not reach the rank of knight, he did everything they asked of him. And we understand why his fall came so easily now, because the frustration was there. Now, was he justified in it? Not in my eyes, no. But I understand why the fall happened so quickly, though.
It's such an interesting mirror because look at it this way. Matt Lanter did a great job with Anakin. Obviously, I think Hayden was screwed by the script, and I will die on that hill. But either way, it's hard sometimes to tell the difference between Matt Lanter Anakin and Hayden Anakin. But flipping it into the topic for Obi-Wan to me is consistent throughout, from Ewan McGregor into James Arnold Taylor, and James Arnold Taylor has been playing Anakin even before the CGI Clone Wars, or Anakin, excuse me, Obi-Wan. He played Obi-Wan in the OG 2003 Clone Wars, the one where they're all throwing spaceships and and going insane.
Yeah,
He
the
played,
Samurai Jack version, right?
yeah, which is beautiful. Gendy Tartakovsky's a genius, and Obi-Wan has just always been consistent in any form of media with James Arnold Taylor. James Arnold Taylor has been he jumps in for Obi-Wan every chance he gets in the games, in the shows. And I think that's something that helps people stay connected to the character. And if you ever meet James Arnold Taylor, he's a sweetheart. Very nice guy.
He was at a couple of cons. I was unfortunately not able to see him, but he's going to be at MegaCon. Actually,
Yes.
as the day of we're recording this, he will be at MegaCon along with the voice actor for Anakin, for Ahsoka, and I believe there's two more. I'm not sure
Yeah,
exactly who.
Padme and Ventress. The whole gang's there.
So if you're
And
there
Sam
at
Witwer.
MegaCon, there's your chance to get a nice, beautiful hello there.
That's very true. And so going into like Obi-Wan's character, right? Yes, he's the negotiator. Yes, he's the calm one. There's a joke we used to tell. It's like growing up, you were either an Anakin kid or an Obi-Wan kid. It's kind of like being a Batman or Superman kid. Like
Very
Batman is
true.
Anakin, Obi-Wan is Superman. One is a little more by the rules. The other is the reckless one. And it's nice to grow up. We're prequels kids. We grew up with that.
And
Obi-Wan was always my favorite. I thought he had a better fit too.
and they balanced each other out well because the risks that Obi-Wan didn't want to take or just felt they shouldn't take, Anakin took them, and they usually always paid off. But the moments where Anakin's risk was not worth the reward, and Obi-Wan made sure, like, hey, this isn't something that we should do. And it's not because I'm pulling rank. I'm telling you, like, this is something that could end drastically with both of us either getting caught or executed. And they both listened to each other as well.
They were good foils for each other, where one wouldn't cross a boundary, the other one would. And so, with your podcast and where you say these canon events, are we talking the moments in which that truly define Obi-Wan? Because I have some ideas, but I wanted to get some clarification.
So these are the moments that they are. So to explain what I mean by absolute canon point, the idea for all of this came from the show What If by Marvels, and it's specifically the episode with Doctor Strange, and
Oh,
yeah, that episode, oof, that was a rough one. But
sad.
the Ancient One was talking about how Strange could not change Christine dying because this was his absolute canon point. This was something he could not change, even if he wanted to. And there was something that was destined for him to lose this. So in one time period, he was destined to lose his hands because that took him down the path to becoming the Sorcerer Supreme. And another one, he lost Christine, which ultimately took him down this path of unacceptance. And when I say that, with also, this can also be said for Batman, him losing his parents. He can't become Batman unless how he loses both parents, not just one, both. This is the same thing with Spider-Man. Peter Parker doesn't jump into being Spider-Man unless he loses Uncle Ben. Like, there's something.
Spider-Man 2023 or 33, whatever. It's a canon event, Miles.
Oh God, yeah. I'm waiting for that third movie to come out. They need to hurry up with that.
Which will be here eventually, but I do see where you're coming from now. And with Obi-Wan, right? I think it's actually the concept of a canon event can even be related to real people, right? You can look back on your life and see some of the craziest stuff that's ever happened, good or bad. But you can look now and say, damn, if that didn't happen, I don't become this now. Yes. Whether you like it or not. So those canon events happen in real life too. So with Obi-Wan, the very first one I think of right off the top of my head is the death of Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yes, definitely. That's definitely on my list as well. I think that's on a lot of people's list.
Yeah, Qui-Gon grew on me because when I was younger, when you're a kid watching these movies, you don't like pick up on all the extra political and warfare and all that. You're just like, wow, lightsaber going yang. And growing up, you realize Qui-Gon was a lot more like the person Anakin would be.
Yes.
Because he defies the council. He's willing to go in there and go, yeah, no, that's BS. In fact, you look at Obi-Wan, young Obi-Wan, and he's a little more by the book at the time. And while Qui-Gon is starting to already defy the council, even his Padawan is telling him, like, are you sure about that? Are we really going to? And Qui-Gon, you can tell he knows how this works. He knows how this BS works.
Yep.
He knows the council holds people back, and he's not going to let that happen.
And I think it's, and the funny thing, talking about Qui-Gon Jinn, like his master was Count Dooku, who's and Yoda was his master. So this ultimately all comes down from Yoda, pretty much. Like the teaching of everything, like this all ultimately comes down to, like, it all started basically with Yoda. Yoda taught Dooku, Dooku taught Qui-Gon, Qui-Gon taught Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan taught Anakin, and so on and so forth. So like this all started and began with Yoda. And as frustrating as he feels sometimes, I feel like just having him, the few interactions that he has with Qui-Gon, with Obi-Wan, with Anakin, he's the only one I see that can actually talk to them from the council perspective and understand their mindset, because he's dealt with Dooku, he's dealt with Qui-Gon, he's dealt with Obi-Wan and Anakin. Like, he's the only one that can understand their mindset, which is why it was so easy for him to train Luke, because he understands the mindset, the rebellious mindset, the one that's good-hearted, the one that's a bit impulsive but always has the best interest at heart. Like, he understands it. That's probably why Anakin went to him in Revenge of the Sith and didn't go to anyone else. He didn't even tell Obi-Wan about the dreams he was having. He went straight to Yoda, which is something, based on what you've seen in the Clone Wars, a very, very different perspective.
Yeah, and Yoda's probably tired of everybody's BS at this point, but he hangs in there. And now, so you look at Qui-Gon, and with everything we've said regarding him and how he was unorthodox, and how, I mean, he pushed for Anakin's training. Everyone else was like, he's too old, which is hilarious because he's still a child, but they gotta get him young. That's how they brainwash you. But good child soldier. But anyway, but Qui-Gon defies the council with all of that. So Qui-Gon would have automatically been the father Anakin needed.
Yes.
When Qui-Gon dies, Obi-Wan is now shoehorned into that position, and he becomes the reluctant big brother to Anakin. Like, yes, they eventually bond with each other, but this is where the canon thing really strikes, is Qui-Gon was his go-to voice, the person telling him what to do. That's gone now, and Obi-Wan has to sit with this and go, what? Now I have to figure this out, because he didn't like Anakin at first.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't want to pick him up. He didn't want to take him down Tatooine, and they do that. So with Qui-Gon gone, obviously that in itself is traumatizing, because that we're gonna make this all canon here. You have Obi-Wan going all out and beating the shit out of Darth Maul,
which is a great fight. It is a tremendous fight, especially when it goes down to just those two. The fighting, just like it's really, really well done.
Correct, and we're gonna get hella nerdy here. So, one thing you can notice with Obi-Wan, even just in that duel, and this ties into Qui-Gon dying. When he starts the duel, he's focusing on Seresu. That's the name, Seresu or something like that, which is the defensive lightsaber tactic.
Is this Phantom Menace, or is this Attack of the Clones?
Phantom Menace. So he's helping Qui-Gon to fight Darth Maul in that big duel of the fates. Yes. And he focuses, Obi-Wan is a master of Seresu, which is form, oh god, I think it's form 3. It's been a while. But when he sees Qui-Gon die, he actually channels a bit of aggression into Ataru, which is the attack form. That's 4. And that's like giving it, you got to be careful with that form, because you could be too aggressive with it and become like kind of dark sidey. But he channels that, defeats Darth Maul, and I put defeats in quotes because that man's still alive.
That man,
but
my gosh.
Yeah. But so that's 2 canon events for you right there. You have the death of Qui-Gon Jinn, now making him have to become a master. And then you have the perceived death of Darth Maul, which is going to trigger an entire saga of this man just hating Obi-Wan Kenobi forever and ever and ever until the end of time. Amen.
And it's one of those things that like so I read the book for Phantom Menace, and what you said about him not liking Anakin is very much true. Like, they go into it, his mindset in the book, in a lot more detail. like he basically sees him as just this thing that's just taking up, and I say thing, I mean Anakin. It's this thing that we're dragging along on this journey that we're gonna have to explain to people why we have this kid, and he doesn't really understand. Like he sees the midichlorian test that Qui-Gon sent him, but he doesn't see Anakin as special. He just sees him as another kid, just another person that we're gonna have to deal with eventually. But for Qui-Gon sees him as like, hold on, this is someone who's extremely powerful, but this is the highest recording we've ever recorded. But not only that, he's coming at a critical point where things are changing rapidly and the Force is becoming more and more foggy. And we have this vergence that's just here coming in the most unexpected way. And I firmly honestly believe that because I've watched a bunch of what ifs and a bunch of other like what this scenario and this scenario.
Sure.
If Qui-Gon knew how important him being alive for Anakin was, I guarantee that fight would have been a lot more controlled and a lot more different. Because had he known what this meant, because there's a reason it's called Duel of the Fates. That duel decided the future of the Jedi, the galaxy, and so many other people that we don't even realize.
Yeah.
And had he known the weight of that, because he found out how much it was once he eventually died and joined and came one with the Force. He realized it, but he ultimately didn't know. He knew that he was a chosen one, but he did not know the ramification of his death would be.
And it's like, okay, so Qui-Gon passes on, and then Obi-Wan is left with this hole, and you see the different aspects of the hole from Qui-Gon's absence throughout the Clone Wars. Obi-Wan doesn't always know what to tell Anakin. That's the first part. You have Anakin being incredibly unorthodox like Qui-Gon, and Obi-Wan, if you think about it, if you really, really think about it, Obi-Wan was pushed into Master early. Because look, Star Wars likes to be really wonky with this. Sometimes they're like, oh, you just become a Master here. But if you look at let's go old Legends for a second. Legends lore, which I still go back to Legends because I think there's a lot of rich stuff there that breathes life into Star Wars, and by making everything Legends and not a thing anymore, it's kind of like, what? But anyway, so there used to be a set of trials you had to do in order to become a Jedi Master.
Yes.
You had to go through the trial of the, I'm gonna mess these up because it's been a while. The trial of skill, which is just you had to demonstrate some amazing feat. The trial of the spirit, which was something was going to challenge your mind. You had the trial of the flesh, which is like an injury that you have to have in any way, which is wild that the Jedi were like, to become a master, you must get your ass kicked at some point.
There's a reason there's a reason why a bunch of us have all these scars, you know?
Right. Which is even funnier because then where do you draw the line with that? Obi-Wan passes the trial of the flesh by losing Qui-Gon, so it's like a mental scar. And they counted that, and the council was like, eh. But my point is, you see, it doesn't make any sense. But because you do all that, Obi-Wan is rushed into masterhood. He got the job promotion, and he hasn't learned everything yet. Qui-Gon didn't even finish teaching him. So now he's got to teach Anakin. The Clone Wars erupt. And now he has to be general. He's not fully a master anymore because they knight Anakin for the war effort.
Which you can actually see on the 2003 version of the Clone Wars.
And it was great.
It really was.
I wish they had somehow recreated that scene for the newer series because that to me is still headcanon. I know we say, oh, it's Legends. That is such a great scene that is so important to Anakin's progression.
I think they should have honestly put that in Kenobi. If they don't put it, they should have put that in Kenobi when the show came out. If they don't put it in like something, if this rumored Darth Vader show they've been trying to pass off for years upon years, that has to be in there because people have been wanting that, because that's the only version of we have of him ever being knighted in any way, and it's not even canon.
Well, and like, yes, we've seen people get knighted outside in games and in shows, but it's not from that era of Star Wars. It's not with the council when it was ceremonious. It's all like, hey, we're the only two survivors, like they do it in Fallen Order. She knights him. And it's not the same. And just because you mentioned the Kenobi show, you can see more of the effects years and years later of Qui-Gon's absence. Obi-Wan has isolated himself. He thinks he's protecting the Chosen One. And he keeps calling and trying to find Qui-Gon because he doesn't know what he's doing. There's a moment in the Mortis arc in Clone Wars where you get a flashback, which I'm so glad Liam Neeson actually came back to voice Qui-Gon for like 2 sentences. But it's another moment. And Obi-Wan's like, bro, I don't know what to do. And he just carries himself well.
And eventually he does like slowly begin to like get into masterhood, and I should say, and you see it in his moments when he's negotiating or when he's talking with younglings or just conversing with people. You see that he's grown into this role more, and that when he gets to the point, I believe of, I want to say in Revenge of the Sith, that's the point where I believe, like, okay, he is a full-fledged master. Like, this is the point where he could have actually taken a Padawan on and started teaching. Like, that's when he should have honestly gotten it.
I'm so glad that you say that. Just because in the Clone Wars, a lot of people forget this. In the movie, that was basically just 3 episodes put together, but that's a talk for another time, is when Ahsoka arrives, Obi-Wan was supposed to train her. And then the council was like, actually, we gave him to Anakin and gave her to Anakin.
No. He's the one who won the Padawan.
Yeah, exactly. So even back then, it's like Obi-Wan was supposed to take on another student. He just didn't.
I honestly wonder sometimes, like, I do honestly wonder, and like I'm taking a page out of Fallen Order. I wonder if he had been given Cal, like, how this would have changed Cal in the games, because if I'm thinking of this right, Cal and Ahsoka are, I think, maybe like 3 years apart from each other in age.
They're close.
They're very,
because
very
people
close.
forget that Ahsoka's a kid. Like, a lot of people think the animation makes her look older, whatever. That's a kid. That's a kid.
Yeah.
Child soldiers. And I know some people have done the what if for Obi-Wan had he mentored Ahsoka. And I'm going to throw a curveball here. Not everybody's going to agree. I'll see if you agree. I think if Ahsoka was Obi-Wan's Padawan, she would have died in the Clone Wars in Order 66. I can't quite explain how, but I just think Anakin was the person she needed to survive all that shit.
I am going to back you up, my friend, on that and say I 100% agree. Because I say that based on this fact, she is the only one that was, one, not surprised by the clones. Well, not fully surprised by the clones, but she was ready to defend herself in that moment. Because if you look at the Order 66 scenes that we have, each one of them are caught off guard and they're killed due to shock. Most and when I say due to shock, is like they're shocked because they're actually doing this. When Ahsoka realizes what they're about to do, she immediately jumps into action. She's like, okay, they're trying to kill me. This is what I need to do. And she's deflecting. She's, not even intentionally trying to kill them, but just trying to survive this point. Everyone else is just caught so off guard that the shock just eventually ends up killing them.
You also have to remember that there was one of these special episodes they did of Tales of the Jedi, and it shows that Anakin even took the step to train her by having the clones shoot at her for God knows how long.
I remember that. That's actually one of my favorite episodes because it shows that the mindset, like, you're okay. So in this war, you're fighting basically machines. I destroy those things by the bucket load any mission I go on.
Yeah.
But there's going to be points, and this also jumps into the Ahsoka show as well. The last message he sent to her: you're going to fight people like Asajj Ventress. You're going to fight people like General Grievous and possibly Count Dooku. I'm preparing you to face these guys, not just bots. Because guess what? Bots are a dime a dozen. We take them out very, very easily. But when it's time for you to clash with other people, I want you to be ready for them if I am not around.
And this is why I'm glad you support me in that theory. This is why I believe that Obi Wan Kenobi is the cool guy at work that you think has it all together. He's great. He's brilliant. You love talking to him at lunch, but he actually doesn't have it all together. We love him because of that, but that's the truth. Is like he comes off as the point of wisdom, as the one who's gonna. But think about it this way: the show and the movies show you this. There are times when Obi-Wan is at a loss for words. He doesn't always know what to do. He carries himself well. He's a little more on the like stoic mentality of it. But I think a great example is when Ahsoka leaves the Order. Even before Ahsoka leaves the Order, when she's kicked out, Obi-Wan is present for both of those moments, and he doesn't know what to do, or he's at a loss. Even Anakin, Ahsoka's so true when she says that only Anakin had her back, because even Obi-Wan, we love him, but he didn't defend her against the council. He's like, this is what the council wants, because he was still in that doctrine.
Remind me in that scene, because I might am watching it later. The scene where they ultimately passed the sentence on her. Did we see like them all voting in person, or they went to their private chambers and did it?
It's more of a formality when they do the sentencing. Like they're questioning her and everything. Obi-Wan is hella quiet. He's not saying anything. It's mostly just Maul. Oh my God, Mace Windu, not Maul. You imagine Maul's at the top, just no. Mace Windu and Ki-Adi-Mundi do a lot of the sentencing, and it's just frustrating because even watching it when I was younger, I remember seeing it on TV and going like, Obi-Wan, why are you not saying anything? He just lets it happen because he still thinks like the council's the end all be all, like their choice, but he forgets that they're people too. Remember, he was so devout to the Jedi Order that he didn't run off with Satine. He would have. Satine is the person to bring him closest to leaving the Jedi Order, and that's why I dare say she is another canon event. Her death changes him forever.
Yes.
That was his only out. He wouldn't leave for anybody else. And you know what? You hear me out. Hear me out. I'm gonna pop a theory in here. If you take away Maul killing Satine, the rest of the scene still plays out. Obi-Wan comes in. Imagine this all as like a poorly drawn comic. He comes in, he saves Satine, kicks Darth Maul in the metal nuts, and runs away. And then Order 66 and all that still happens. I think he'd run off with Satine. So she had to die.
And honestly, yeah. I could honestly see, I could see him, like, I could still see him taking Luke, but him taking Luke and going to Mandalore and being there with her.
Luke, I'm here for it.
Because even though, like, Yoda would want him to be with his parents, Luke being surrounded by these warriors who are literally like, okay, this person is extremely special. I need you guys to guard them with their lives. They would honestly do it. And the thing is that Satine, even though she doesn't look it, she is trained. She's a skilled Mandalorian. She has a peaceful like side that we see in the Clone Wars, but she's very skilled.
Yeah,
we don't get to see it as much, but she is skilled.
Yeah, so Satine's death changes Obi-Wan completely because she was that childhood sweetheart that he had, and he admits it. He fully says in season 2 when we first meet Satine and she's held hostage, and he's like, "Had you said the word, I would have left the Jedi Order." And we've never seen him reach that point with anyone or anything else. not even Anakin, because he can't. He follows doctrine to a T, because think about it, he doesn't have anywhere else to fall back to. When Order 66 and everything happens, he still thinks he's doing what the Jedi would want. He's trying to protect Luke from Vader. He blames himself. He blames himself for all of that, which I'm going to throw in one more canon event.
Okay,
because of the Kenobi.
I have two that haven't mentioned yet, but you might actually say it. So go ahead.
I was just going to say his middle fight with Darth Vader, because that gave him closure, because he was blaming himself until that point.
So the Kenobi show fight.
Yes, at the very end.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because that's why, like, when he splits Anakin's helmet and he's like, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry about all of this. And Vader's like, you didn't do this. I wanted this. And then he's able to let that go, because the whole show is him feeling like he caused Anakin to turn.
And also, there's one thing to point out in that show. After the fight, this is the first time we hear him not call him by Anakin, but he calls him Darth.
Yeah. Because he lets that go, and now he's like, okay, if you really are going to be this thing, that's all you are. From a certain point of view.
Indeed, from a certain point of view. And to add into what you said about Satine, he will leave the Order first. So, like, there's two things we know for sure about Obi-Wan when it comes to his character. We know that he would have left the Jedi Order for Satine, because he's openly said that. But he also says in the book Kenobi that there would only be one way for him to turn to the dark side. And he said the only way for he would have turned to the dark side is if he lost Anakin. And when I say lost, not to the dark side, as in he died and it was his fault.
Yeah.
Because he openly says that, like, that would have turned him to the dark side, because he, at that point, he believes he failed Qui-Gon, and that the one thing that his master asked him to do, he failed to do. And the bond was so strong with them that and you see it vice versa. Like the Anakin we saw when he believed Obi-Wan had died, that was Kenobi. That would have been Kenobi had he lost Anakin that way.
Oh shit! Yeah,
we get a very slight peek in him, because he openly says that there's a chance I would have turned to the dark side, a very strong chance, if he lost Anakin.
I think it's a nice reminder that Obi-Wan forfeited anything else that he had in his life after the events of Revenge of the Sith. Because everything you see Obi-Wan do, whether he's at a high emotionally or a low, he's a protector, and that's all he will be for the rest of his days. That's his arc. I mean, the cool, obviously Order 66 has been analyzed to high hell at this point, but what's so epic about it, no pun intended, epic, Ray, is that it's so abrupt, and it cuts everyone's story right where it is, just like a real tragedy. You know, it doesn't matter how many hopes and dreams you have, your clones just killed you. It just ends right there. So any hope that Obi-Wan had of, being on the council more or helping the Jedi Order, like, it's just gone. It's wiped out. Everything he's ever known is gone. And now all he can do to make up for it is protect people. Little Leia, Padme's children, Anakin at one point until he gives up, and then everybody that he had, Luke.
He's the most selfless person, because every decision and action that he does after post Qui-Gon, he does it in a selfless way. He's not thinking of himself. He's only thinking of others. And that goes with him all the way even to the point when he's battling Vader on the Death Star. He is literally thinking about others. He is the most selfless Jedi I could possibly ever think of. The only other one I can think of is probably, I can make a small case for Anakin, but when it comes to selfless, like I'm doing this not to serve my interests. I'm doing this because I want this person, or I want to protect this person because I believe they have a future in doing something greater than what I see beyond.
And that's why I still stand by the belief that Obi-Wan is the best Jedi of all time. In my book, he is the best Jedi of all time. He doesn't have to be the strongest with that title. He doesn't have to have the highest kill count or anything like that. I just think he embodies what the Jedi Order is supposed to be, faults and all.
Mm-hmm.
I think that people, obviously, everybody changes what the Jedi are. Are the Jedi superheroes? Are they just warrior monks who throw themselves in? If you ever want a really good read, and then I'll jump back into this, the Jedi Code is such a great book to actually understand the principles of the Jedi. They did one for the Sith too, but I
have
really
the
love
one for the
one of my
Sith.
favorites.
I have the one for the Sith and for the bounty hunters. I'm still looking for the one for the Jedi. I have to find that one.
You got that's the best one. I'm not even joking. That is I think that's the one that started it all too. It is such a good book, and I read that one a couple times. It's fun. It's the drawings in it are really pretty too. But that being said, I say Obi-Wan lives up to that the best that he can. And every opportunity he has to go to the dark side where another Jedi would have, he doesn't. Satine dies, and you could tell he gets pissed and angry and all of that, and he still doesn't cave to that. Even in his worst moments, he does not turn to the dark side. He doesn't every chance he gets.
So like so I'm gonna get to my Obi-Wan my two Obi-Wan points, but so
Sure.
my when I see the Jedi and how they are supposed to be, I think of three specific Jedi. I think of Qui-Gon, Kenobi, and Yoda. I think Qui-Gon because this is how a Jedi should have been, and this is how the Jedi should have treated their Padawans and those that are coming up. They should have been a reflection of what Qui-Gon was, because up until that point, the Jedi was very, very strictly devoted to the Republic and not serving the Force. Qui-Gon served the Force first, and the Council second. And by doing so, he had greater insight to things that they could not see. When I see Obi-Wan is how a Jedi should live his life. Mm-hmm. And how you put your own interests aside and you do what's best for everyone that's around you. You are selfless, even if it means the cost of your own life, even if it means laying down your life to making sure that good and light will thrive. You're willing to do that. He's the embodiment of selflessness. And for Yoda is the embodiment of reflection on failure. He realizes his mistake, and like he understands, like, even though I've gotten to this age, there is things I still don't know, and there's still things that I can learn. And he accepts those things, especially in the Clone Wars arc when he goes to be trained by Qui-Gon, which is someone that he trained.
Oh yeah, his acid trip.
He calls him Master in the Clone Wars. I'm ready to be trained by you.
Mm-hmm.
So with Qui-Gon, it is serving the Force, being selfless, and reflection. When it comes to those three,
I agree with you. I like your choice of the top three for the full Jedi Order embodiment. Because here's the thing, Ahsoka embodies a lot of these things too, especially the selflessness. But she's not gonna let the Order define who she is.
Yes.
And I've thought about this scene countless times. I always like to see if my opinion changes. Like the very first time when I was young and I saw Ahsoka leave the Order, and I was like, no! Like, I get it because Revenge of the Sith is coming out, but no. And then the older I get, and the more you experience, anybody, you understand why she leaves. You understand that these people that she has risked her life for countless times and followed their orders and everything, they just shat her out in less than a day, and then just casually are like, yeah, we were wrong, come on back in. And she respects herself too much to go back to that. And that, I think, is the difference between Ahsoka and Obi-Wan, is because Obi-Wan was still so much on that Jedi Kool-Aid. If that had happened to him, he'd be like, bet, give me my little ponytail back, let's glue it back on. That's my opinion.
So I'm going to say something incredibly controversial. I was thinking about this a couple of days ago, and
What you got?
whether this is taken the wrong way, I based on what I have seen, based on like what I've read and everything else. And this goes to back to Clone Wars season 7. I believe it's episode 5. I believe.
Okay.
Ahsoka not talking to Yoda or trying to contact Anakin caused the collapse of the Jedi Order, because I guarantee there are 3 people. Actually, I'm gonna say there's 7 people that Anakin has trusted with his secrets, and I want to say a portion of his heart. He trusted his mother, who's now gone. He trusted Qui-Gon, who is gone. He trusted Padme, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, Rex, and Yoda. That's literally it. He has never spoken to anyone else about his problems, his issues, or his heart, more specifically, than those people. He may have talked to Palpatine, but he didn't talk to Palpatine about his heart, what he felt, his decisions he was making. He went to Palpatine to make himself feel better about his actions that he did. He didn't go to him about his decision when it comes to how to love, how to be a portion of someone. He never expressed that Palpatine.
It shows you how many people were held back by the Order. Because I mean, what's the first doctrine that most Jedi run into issues with? Is, well, yeah, be compassionate, but don't be attached to anybody. The hell do you want from me? You're asking me to save people and do all these things and be selfless for others, and then not love the people I care for. And I mean, obviously that's one of Anakin's biggest issues and why he fell. But you even see that with, okay, so like what you're saying about Ahsoka. Even if Ahsoka wanted to say something to Anakin, the Jedi Order was so butthurt with her. Because even Mace Windu's like, you're a citizen. You're a citizen, so you can't be in this conversation anymore. Okay, I'm hanging up, bye. And the same with Obi-Wan. It's doctrine holding these people back over and over again. And that's why I hate this. I hate this so much, because the Jedi Order on paper sounds amazing, but in practice, it's so frustrating.
Yes, 100%. Because the thing is, like, they contradict themselves and their code so much, and yet they break it so much as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean,
like,
yeah,
it's one of those things that internally just frustrates me so many times, because one of the things that because I really got to make sure I do this Kenobi thing before I forget.
Yeah, go for it.
One of the classes of Jedi or Jedi training that was a part of the temple for the longest, that they ultimately lost after, I think, about the last 100 years before we get into Phantom Menace, was the Jedi Sentinels. Jedi Sentinels' primary job was to sense the dark side and to eliminate dark side threats. That was their primary objective. The only way they were identified is if they had yellow lightsabers, because the Sentinels usually had yellow lightsabers. It wasn't just the temple guards. Sentinels had them, and they lived among the people, and that they were able to assimilate into people, into society, and live among them, and not be, consumed by attachment, because they knew how to control it. Had there been Sentinels during the time of Phantom Menace into Revenge of the Sith, Palpatine would have been found out so much earlier. I honestly guarantee if Anakin had went the Sentinel route, he would have sent Palpatine much earlier because they have experience with dark side matters and they know how to actually control those dark side thoughts so they don't control them.
See, this is why two things are true. One, the Legends had so much deeper lore to Star Wars.
Yep.
That really built, and it shows you how much built the foundations. Like, yes, I understand there's some crazy shit in there. You've got like people doing 360 backflips and force pulling Star Destroyers out of the sky and blowing up planets just because they don't like them with their eyeballs. Like, the point is, through all of that, though, there are still so much written lore by so many individuals that created what the Star Wars canon based itself off of. Mm-hmm. And the second thing that's true to this is all about the Jedi Sentinels, because I agree with you. Jedi Sentinels are badass. Knights of the Old Republic, this is my plug. Knights of the Old Republic is the best Star Wars video game ever created because of the deep lore to it. It's not the gameplay. It's not anything. It is the lore of what it creates. It created Jedi classes. It explained all the different purposes, the council still working and everything. And the fact that Lucasfilm has not jumped on the very bountiful field that is the Old Republic is depressing. That is my personal plug, but it stands by what you said, that there is so much rich lore, because you're right, the Jedi Sentinels, the Guardians, the Consulars. I miss it. That's all I'm going to say. I miss it. Because Obi-Wan was a Guardian.
Yes, he was a guardian. For we're just going to do a quick minute background of it. So, the Jedi Guardians, they pretty much defended the Republic. They went to threats across the galaxy and defended people. There were the Jedi Counselors, who primarily carried the green lightsabers. They were the ones who went to certain places to negotiate peace treaties, tried to be that calming voice when conflict arose, essentially. Mm-hmm. And then there was the Jedi Temple Guards, who had the yellow lightsabers, and then it was primarily just those colors. It was blue, green, and yellow. Those were the most seen throughout the Jedi Order. Occasionally there'd be a purple one. Samuel Jackson, we love you. And then there'll be other colors like yellow and things like that, or orange. If we also want to jump into the Legends with Yaddle. So there were many different colors, but each of them had a class to them. And the reason
Did you know that? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go finish what you're
saying. Did you know that there was apparently an instance of a brown lightsaber?
Where?
I would have to look it up again. I'm gonna send it to you after this podcast. But it was like old Legend stuff, and all I could think to myself is, of all the Kyber colors, you imagine you got the poop saber, and you got brown. That's.
I can imagine like the person who has it being surrounded by like 3 Sith, like one with a double lightsaber and one with the single bladed lightsaber and one that has lightsaber just spinning in the air and it just pops out and it's just brown. It's like, ooh, this is an appropriate time for this color.
But yeah. So, but you're right though. There were all those colors. They were designated. The original Jedi Order was even more of a stickler of things than what we see Obi-Wan's in. And there was like a designated saber. If you're doing this job, you get blue. You want purple? Too bad. You get in blue. And so on and so forth. And then over time, I guess they just decided Easter colors. We could do whatever we want. And then...
Sorry, go ahead.
No, please. Go ahead.
Now, I was going to say, like, during the time of the High Republic, there were a lot of Jedi who had different colors. So we saw more colors like orange, yellow, blue, green. I think there was a portion where it was like maybe like a pink or something like that. Like there were multiple colors. I'm pretty sure there could have been some white ones. They probably just don't have the canon for it yet. So there are more colors, but as the Jedi Order grew and they became more stringent, those basic colors we see, blue and green, were primarily just the only two colors we saw.
And yet with some of those colors, I will always associate them with certain characters. So like Obi-Wan has blue. Obi-Wan is blue. Always has been, always will be. Ahsoka has jumped around a lot because they like retconned the green sabers that she always had And then they were like, all right, let's give her blue. Let's give her white. So she's been jumping around. And I'm trying to find a way to like relate this to Obi-Wan with his Kyber crystal. It's more into that doctrine. He represents a Jedi guardian. He always becomes that guardian, and he doesn't need the Jedi Order to protect people. He'll follow it. That's why it's so hard to kill the Jedi, is because even if you destroy the Jedi Order, any survivors just carry on the teachings.
And sometimes, like the Sith have gotten close multiple times, but the thing is that some of them always manage to slip away. And even then, like, this is the importance of what Qui-Gon was doing with the Force Ghosts. That even if you were to wipe out the entire Jedi Order, like all of them, there's another group that's ready to show up. Some of them possibly stronger. And the thing is that when they come into the point where they realize that the Force Ghost's job was to direct them and help them become Jedi, so that they would eventually bring on the next class of Jedi. That's what was the importance of Force Ghosts, to be able to teach beyond the years that they were alive.
Imagine you just like chilling, making some breakfast, and Force Ghost just shows up and like, you
have been chosen.
You're like, what? But I like what you're saying, and I have 2 points. So firstly, I want to talk about midichlorians. This divided the Star Wars fandom. People hate midichlorians. People are like, what the hell is this? What, now it's in your blood that you have to be a Force sensitive? You're born with it? I think that's a misinterpretation. I think midichlorians just mean, depending on how many you have, how good you are at what you do. That's really it. It's no different than like,
yes, I agree.
You can give me a basketball, I can dunk a basket, but I'm not Kobe. You know, I can't do cool stuff like that. And I feel like it's the same. So Anakin has a super high midichlorian count. Yeah, because look at all the crazy shit he could do with the Force. He's got the son and the daughter, and he's balancing them and changing the weather and shit. And then you might have someone who's just not that good. Like my favorite, if I have to pick a bad Jedi for no reason, it's the one who looks like a Parasaurolophus dinosaur, and he jumps up on the balcony. He tried to 1v1 Count Dooku, and then Django just shot him like 7 times.
Oh God, what's his name?
His name is my fiance knows the name. Coleman Trebor is his name. And yeah, that's my favorite example of someone who probably did not have a high midichlorian count, because he really said, I'm going for it. Yeah, he didn't even block he didn't even block a single shot. Django just
ended him.
Yeah. And I will admit, Django's aura farming in that scene, and it's beautiful. But regardless, where I'm going with this whole thing leads me to the end scene of The Last Jedi. Now, a little context with me. The sequel trilogy, I got a lot of beef with. The Force Awakens gets off the hook. The other 2, I can fight forever. But one scene that I adore about the end of The Last Jedi, you got this little kid on Canto Bight, and they're telling the story of Luke Skywalker and everything, and that's fine. And then he walks out by himself, and he uses the Force to pick up a broom. And he looks like out to the stars and everything, and that's the end of the movie. But that scene is so cool because nothing needed to be done with it. Like, people go, oh, is that the next? I don't know. Is that Snoke? You know, or something. You know? And what made that scene special is to show you the Force is just out there. You can't destroy the Jedi Order. It's just people have the Force. It's out there. It's going to keep existing. That's why the Inquisitors were running left and right trying to find all the Force-sensitive kids, because they couldn't stop it.
The more you try and destroy something, the stronger it will be, and the stronger it will get. And
it's true.
And like it goes true even until today. Like, you may try and destroy an ideal, but the more you try and destroy it, the stronger it will be. And it's present even in, I honestly want to say, with raising kids. You may say to your kid, hey, don't do this. And you may say it over and over again, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. But guess what? Eventually they're going to get the urge. They're going to get the mindset like, why don't they want me to do it?
Exactly.
Let's take a look and see why. And eventually it pushes them further towards it instead of just conveying the truth to them like, hey, don't do this because of this and this. But if you just keep telling them like, don't do it, it's guess what? They're gonna end up doing it.
It's the self-fulfilling prophecy. It reminds me of, I'm going to jump fandoms briefly if I'm allowed to.
Go ahead.
And so God of War Ragnarok has a great line in it in which, so I'm not going to spoil the game if you haven't played it, but the start of the game, Kratos is just doing his usual stuff, and he's like, you can't go here, you can't do that, you can't do this, don't do that. And Mimir, the head, says to him, walk with your boy, because if you don't, he's going to take a different path as you, if you keep trying to push him away from this.
I remember that line. I do.
Yeah. So I think about that, and I also think it's just hard to kill ideas. Look at what does the Empire do aside from genociding the Jedi to try to stop them? Propaganda. The Jedi are evil. By the time that we're seeing the events of like Andor, right? Anyone existing in the galaxy is either too scared to mention the Jedi, or it has been so hammered into them that the Jedi were horrible human beings and we just don't talk about them, that they don't exist. That's why they're a myth by A New Hope. Han Solo's like, the Force, the hell? Like, it's just propaganda and government. It still exists, but if you convince enough of the population not to believe it, that's what happens. You see that every day.
Mm-hmm. And like that's ultimately like even when at the end of the Revenge of the Sith, like they were said there were over 10,000 Jedi throughout the galaxy, and from what I can probably guess, I've seen the percentages vary. They lost about 98% of them due to Order 66, but that still means even with that 98% done, there was still a good portion of them that were still alive.
And your point is something I support, because a lot of people, especially on the interwebs, they got beef with the fact that other Jedi survived Order 66. Because what they'll usually cite is A New Hope, because they're like, it's supposed to be just Luke. A lot of people bring up Return of the Jedi, because at the end of that, Yoda's like, you're the last of the Jedi. I'm going to challenge this, because first of all, thousands and thousands of Jedi, obviously people were going to get away. And I think how they tell those stories, that's their problem. But I just think the principle of other Jedi surviving Order 66 is not that hard to believe, because not everybody has to continue being a Jedi. And that's where they get mixed up. So Return of the Jedi, when Yoda tells Luke, when I'm gone, the last of the Jedi you will be, he means doing what you're doing, like in the Order. Because there's other Jedi out there, but people gave up, people stopped doing stuff, people are in hiding. That's my interpretation of it anyway.
I do actually agree with that, because at that point when Luke when Yoda's about to pass on, as far as at that point, Kanan is already gone.
That's right.
Kenobi is already gone. They have no idea where Ezra is. So like anyone that we could possibly think of at that point, that we can even generally think of, they're already gone pretty much. Like if we want to throw in like legends, like Ron Coda from Force Unleashed.
Oh, he's game.
He's pretty much gone at that point. So the only ones that are actively doing work, actively being Jedi, is Luke. That's it.
I think you can see a great example of that in newer media. They've done that with Fallen Order. I guess you could argue they did it with Jedi Survivor too. I was just more of a Fallen Order girly. And then I liked in Kenobi, where you learn about the hidden path, that there's just this group of individual humans. They aren't Force sensitive. They form this like underground railroad to help Force sensitives.
Right.
And what got me with that scene is when Obi-Wan's in there and he sees like all the names of people, or like symbols etched into the wall to show you like, we're out here, we're alive. And one of them is Quinlan Vos. And do we ever see Quinlan again? Do we know where he is? No, but that's just it. We don't need to. We just know people survived. because not everybody's going to want to fight in the rebellion. Not everybody wants to. Some people found different things to do. My favorite example of that is, God, what is his name?
Is it Legends or canon?
Oh, okay, Legends, like Kyle Katarn, right?
Okay.
Kyle Katarn is a great example of a guy who got Jedi training and he did all this Force sensitive stuff, but he didn't like rebuild the Order. He helped Luke a little bit with his new Order, but then Kyle Katarn went off and did so much of his own shit that had nothing to do with anything, but he could just use a lightsaber. Like that.
I do agree. And there's another one also in the Darth Vader comics. Like, he ends up being kicked out of the Order, off the Council, and he becomes, like, I think he said either a priest or something like that. Like, he left his Jedi ways behind. He only picked up his lightsaber again because Vader came looking for him. That's the only reason why.
Well, it also goes to show you that the Jedi Order always had cracks in it. There's a lot of Jedi that we can either hate, disagree with, whatever, but they all, to quote Revenge of the Sith, saw through the lies of the Jedi. Look, everybody can unanimously agree that Pong Krell is an asshole. But
yes.
he's another example. He's just a little asshole. But it's a clear example of a Jedi who, he wasn't a Sith. He was just like, I'm not doing this anymore. So I'm just going to jerk around, mess with all these clones, ruin the war because I can, and I'm going to save myself. And to show you how like much everybody was on the Jedi Republic Kool-Aid, they're like, that's not going to happen. And he's like, yeah, I saw it.
Yep, that's the only honest way to put it.
Yeah, Ventress. People forget Ventress was a Jedi. That's another one. She left. But kind
Dooku
of just
was a Jedi.
Yeah, Dooku was a Jedi, and I think a lot of people just kind of assume that if you leave the Jedi Order, especially if you took the villain route, that you're all just like me bad, me evil. But Count Dooku, and I'm gonna snag the old version of Count Dooku now, because this is what I'm talking about with the canon and Legends bullshit. It drives me nuts, Raheem, because there are great stories in Legends that I wish Disney would just go, we're keeping this. Like, if you choose to read it, but it is canon.
I'm keeping this couch.
I'm keeping this couch. I knew you were gonna. Nice. I'm keeping this couch. Scrub it out, put a little Febreze on it. But like Count Dooku's original story, he came from royalty, from the planet Sereno, and he became a Jedi later on because his family betrayed him, and he had to like leave, and he was Force sensitive, and all this shit happened. I'm skipping ahead, but when Qui-Gon died, he was like, all right, this place sucks. Like, I don't like what they're doing. He took multiple Padawans, and he just ended up leaving, and he went back to govern Sereno. We don't know where the connection with Palpatine comes in, and then Clone Wars tried to do that with Tales of the Jedi or something. But he left because he just wanted to leave. He didn't want to do this anymore. They were like, well, don't you want to stay? We'll give you a fucking gift basket. And he's like, no, I could be a prince with Force powers. And that's what he did.
And he honestly could have just chilled and lived out the rest of his life, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Like
yeah.
Because some of them, I honestly, like, they say the Order is alive, but I honestly believe like some of them, they was like, you know what? I started this life when I was 5 years old, and I'm getting getting in my 80s, you know, and I can't move like I used to. So, guys, I'm tapping out right now.
And then the Jedi Order kind of shame those people. I'm going to bring Obi Wan back into this again. So I got a canon event for you. Attack of the Clones. Obi Wan's running around. He's taking pictures for the Jedi Council and everything on Geonosis, and then he gets captured. Count Dooku.
I know where this is going.
Yeah, exactly. Count Dooku gave him an open book test. He told him everything.
That's the best way, honestly, to put it.
Yeah. He said, look, I got the script for Revenge of the Sith here. And Obi-Wan, being part of the council and all that jazz, and being on that Jedi Kool-Aid, was like, nah, that's cap, that's fake, fake news, not true. Nope, not listening. La, 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 la. And Count Dooku, if you think about it, this is why my favorite Sith Lord is Count Dooku, because he's smart. He's not like all like, oh, I will use my hatred to enhance my abs or something. I don't know. He's an eloquent fella. He's a dick, but he's an eloquent fella. And he was genuinely trying. I think he saw Qui-Gon in Obi-Wan, and he was trying to be like, fam, leave. You don't even have to. Yes, he says you can join me and we'll destroy the Sith, which probably would have ended horribly. But my point still stands that he told Obi-Wan everything he needed to know. And even when Obi-Wan couldn't understand it, years later, there's a Clone Wars episode where they're fighting. And Obi-Wan's like, wait a minute. Are you telling me that this and that? And Count Dooku just goes, I told you everything you needed to know like 5 years ago. Okay, bye.
And at that point, when he realized that, it was already too late. It was already too late.
Yeah, like he's like, what if I told you the Republic was already belonging to the Sith? No. And then Obi-Wan found proof. He found proof that the army was organized by.
There are so many points in Clone Wars, like the evidence is sitting you right in the face. And I don't mean them walking into the Chancellor's office and he's sitting right there. I mean, like, there are so many clues, openings that are just like, it's right there in front of your face. And you guys aren't even attempting to want to know because you believe in your hearts that you know better.
Did you know that canonically the Zillo Beast was Force sensitive? And that it sensed Palpatine was the Sith Lord and was trying to kill him. And that's why it only wanted to kill him and no one else. It was like destroying the city, but it wanted him. So technically the Zillo Beast was also trying to tell everybody, we need to stop this man.
It's one of those things, man. It's like the evidence was there in so many ways. And yet there were a couple times where the evidence... Actually, I'm going to say that I can probably count on my hand the amount of times where this plan, Palpatine's plan, could have backfired hugely. And every single time, that plan just got shut down, either because of pride or hubris or just downright somebody died.
And this is why I think that it's so frustrating. I'm trying to find the words. All right, come back to me.
So I do want to put this last point out for
last point. Let's do it.
A canon event is when Obi-Wan was picked by Qui-Gon to be his Padawan. Because as far as I know, when it came to his training, he was not the most skilled. And there was a point, and I think this is mentioned either in the book or in some type of Legends content, where had he not there was a chance he might not have gotten picked, and he would have been like one of just serving in the Jedi Temple as like something else, like a cook or something like that. There was a chance of that happening to him, but Qui-Gon ended up picking him. Because had that not happened with Qui-Gon, Qui-Gon not picked him, Obi-Wan would have been just in a Jedi Temple serving as like security or like I think they do like mechanical work or something like that. He would have been stuck in that role. But because Qui-Gon picked him, he was able to get the training he needed, and eventually you would meet Anakin and so on and so forth.
This is the kind of stuff that I wish had stayed canon. Again, I'm going to praise Legends. All right. There used to be an entire book series because my nerdy ass read it in middle school. Oh God. And it was just a Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan saga. Like it was all these books. It was just Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. They were like a buddy cop duo. And they went to all these different planets and you got to know them more. And I thought those books were great. And I feel like we lost a lot of personality and connection with those two when those books were no longer considered canon.
And I'm actually gonna date myself. I'm gonna date myself a little bit.
Do it.
A lot of times when those books came out, I remember being between the ages of 10 and 12. A bunch of those books. I remember it as clear as I'm looking at the sky right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Those books were literally sitting in flea markets and thrift stores, 99
Yes.
cents or like a dollar 99. And had I known how big of a Star Wars fan I'd be now, I would have gathered those books up like crops in a field and kept
Yes.
them
Yes. And
because
because
they're
they were
so
rich
hard to
with
find
content.
now.
Yes, they are. And if you can find them, they're all hella expensive because Disney stapled the little Legends banner on all of them that they're like, look at this great story. Just remember it's not real. All right, here you go. I'm like,
Because
take that Legends shit off.
I remember seeing the Revenge of the Sith book in a thrift store for like I think it was $2.99. If I go to look for that now, it's a $16 book used.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All of them jacked up in price. But my point still stands that Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan had such a rich lore to them individually, even without Satine, before that was a thing. The fact that Disney is willing to rewrite that whole saga, but they won't give us the content to fill in the blanks. It's like, imagine I give you a pie, and this pie's got everything you want in it. It's got, blueberries and cherry and it's whipped cream, everything. And now I say, I'm going to give you that same pie, but I just took out everything in the middle. I'm not gonna fill it. You can just pretend something's in there. It's confusing. The best thing I think Disney could do, it could be a comic, a book, whatever, is show me Satine. If you're gonna tell me that Obi-Wan was getting it with Satine, show me that. Give me a book. Give me a comic saga, a show. People have been begging for a show about it. You can't just tell us things and leave it there. I'm begging.
Like even in that little snippet in the Obi-Wan show where he's like where he said where he was or that he had a brother, I'm like, are y'all dipping into Legends now and we can talk about this? Y'all just putting this out there just to just show, like, just give him some backstory and some character. I'm like, are y'all dipping in Legends? Because guess what? There's a guy named Revan that's been waiting for his show for a while now.
And I'm so nervous that if Darth Revan got a show now, just the toxic fan base who has basically made him their messiah will take over. And I'm like, I need y'all sit down. Let's still get the Revan show, but y'all go away.
Because guess what? Keanu Reeves ain't getting any younger.
Oh, Keanu would make a good Darth Revan, and I do support that. I wanted to say with the Kenobi show, one scene that I really, really enjoyed was when you see that flashback of him and Hayden training.
Yes.
And that the positive reception that flashback got, we're going to pretend they're not aged because they're human, but the positive reception shows you we want more from that era of Star Wars. That is the only time we have visibly seen Anakin training Obi-Wan or Obi-Wan training Anakin. That's it. That's all we have. There's so much to do there.
Because between Phantom Menace and what is it? And Attack of the Clones, that's 10 straight years of content they could either put in flashbacks, make a show, anything. Like that's 10 years worth of content you guys can just mess around and deal with.
And keep that animation studio in business.
And people have been screaming, and they have the rights to use James Earl Jones's voice now, even though he's passed on. Like,
kind of scares me.
They still have. People have been begging, and I mean begging, for two specific shows for the longest time. They want a Darth Vader show, and they want a Darth Revan show. One of those is probably more easier than the other, but it does not mean it's not going to be loved any less.
And speaking of which, just to keep in mind, I think 2 weeks out from... No, what am I saying 2 weeks out? This week, the Darth Maul show.
Oh, that premieres this week?
That premieres this Friday. Maul Shadow Warrior or Shadow Lord or Shadow Daddy or one of those.
Oh, I need to make sure I turn my Disney Plus back on.
Yeah, March 6th. He's back.
And the guy who voices him, he's going to be at Mega too. He's going to be there.
Heck yeah, Sam Witwer. No,
Oh,
he's cool.
it's gonna be
He's Star Killer. He's the Sun. He's Darth Maul. He's Palpatine occasionally. He's done Palpatine's voice. He has done. I can't think of any others right now, but he's done. Oh, he did one of the stormtroopers in Andor.
oh for
Yeah,
real.
good. For him. Yeah, yeah. He's the one who gets Cassian arrested. Are you part of it? Oh, multiple stormtroopers, multiple projects.
That man loves his job. I will tell you that he loves his job.
Oh, he's just a huge nerd, and that's why it works.
But as we get to a point, we're going to wrap up this episode. As we
Yes,
get to our closing remarks, so what would you say if you had to pick three? What would you say are Kenobi's three absolute canon points? If you had to pick three,
absolute canon points. Okay, three. You've got the death of Qui Gon Jinn because that spurs the entire Skywalker saga and drags Obi Wan's ass into it. You have the death of Satine because that, for me, is his last boat to get off of this, burned and gone. And then if I have to pick a third one for him, see, I don't want to say his death is a canon event because it's done for his arc. He dead. So I'm actually going to say him fighting Vader in the show, no matter how poorly shot that is, in my opinion. But once it's done, him getting closure that he did not, in fact, turn Anakin. So those are my three.
I like those three. I like those three.
Thank you.
For myself, I'm going to put also the death of Qui Gon Jinn on there. I'm going to put him being picked by Qui Gon Jinn. And then I would have to say, I'm gonna throw let's see here. I'm gonna throw a wild card in it because we didn't actually get to discuss this one. Is him agreeing not to Qui-Gon, but to when he's talking to Yoda, he says that he's going to train Anakin because at that moment he could have honestly just overshadowed or just popped in every night. He could have given Anakin over to another master to be trained, but he said, "I'm going to do it." Because again, they could have literally taken Anakin away from him and been like, no, you're not experienced enough. We're gonna pick someone else to do this. They could have they were 100% valid in doing that, and they could have done that. But Obi-Wan said, "I'm going to do it because I promised Qui-Gon to do it. I'm going to do it." That decision to do that defined his characters. Like I'm going to stop being. Think about what I want. I'm going to be selfless and do the request that my teacher has asked of me.
And in summation, Star Wars ain't Star Wars without Liam Neeson.
He has a particular set of skills.
And those skills make him traumatic for people who lose him.
Every single time. He's one of the few people in movies when I go to watch them, he either survives because he's the villain or he ends up dying the good hero.
The Sean Bean treatment.
Sean Bean and Liam Neeson always they end up passing in their movie or surviving to just become the villain. Like it's always something.
And together they are Liam Beanson. And on that note, I do want to say thank you for having me as a guest.
I'm glad to have you here. It has been an enjoyment talking with you. As always, every time we usually end up talking, we end up hitting about an hour or so, probably even longer than that.
I love talking to you.
But we'll definitely have you back in for another episode. I'm not sure which one, but I'm pretty sure we can come up with something and definitely have you back on here.
Yeah, whatever you want to do, man. I got you. This was fun, and may the force be with you.
And also with you. And on that note, this is not just canon. This is hard canon. You guys have a good day.